Welcome back here on First Things First. Undisputed is coming up in about 11 minutes. Joy, good morning to you out there in L.A. What are you and the guys talking about?
Good morning, Jenna. Coming up on Undisputed, LeBron has the first pick in the All-Star draft. Who should he go with? And can the Patriots beat the Eagles without Gronk? Plus, Super Bowl champion Ty Law is in studio with us. Undisputed is coming up next. Send it back to you, Nick and Chris.
All right, Joy, thank you. We look forward to that. You know, when we meet every morning to put the show together, lately we count on just a few things. One, we're probably talking about the Super Bowl.
Wow.
The other thing is some player on Cleveland's team doing something.
Or other things that people don't know.
Other things that people don't know that happen in those morning meetings. We don't have to talk about it here. True story. Reports are that LeBron James is miffed that the Cavs were unable to deal for Paul George or Eric Bledsoe this offseason. Instead, they got Isaiah Thomas. LeBron also reportedly aggressively recruited PG-13 to not only come to Cleveland, but to stay there long term, but that didn't work. So, Nick, is it starting to look like maybe Isaiah Thomas is the problem and that trade ended up having a trickle-down effect to everything else?
It's going to be very hard for me to blame.
Okay, first, Isaiah's not the problem. He's the focal point in the trade, but there were colossal bad moves by the Cavs that before Isaiah even got there that forced Kyrie to make IT be in Cleveland.
Well, hold on. But that forced Kyrie's hand, you're saying?
Well, yes, that not having a general manager.
Right.
All right.
That led to the overall dysfunction.
Yes, and also it led to people being shocked that Kyrie was not happy there because they didn't have an exit meeting after the Warriors series last year that all teams typically have. So there was a disconnect. Next time they talked to Kyrie, he wanted out of Cleveland, which led to the trade with Boston.
And the GM that was working behind the scenes before the Kyrie trade request became public to make the Cavs better. Because if you flip Kyrie and anyone other than LeBron and Kevin Love, and you come back with Paul George and Eric Bledsoe, that Cavs team is better and better equipped to play the Warriors.
Yes.
Because Paul George is a good defender for Kevin Durant, like Eric Bledsoe is a better defender than Kyrie on Steph Curry. And go ahead.
Why did that fall through?
Well, the guy who's worked, well, two reasons. One, Phoenix balked at trading the 4th overall pick, but while they're trying to massage the deal, David Griffin, his contract's not extended. Guy wins a championship, makes moves at every deadline, and Dan Gilbert, who has never extended a single general manager since he owned the team, said, no, you can leave. So they didn't have a GM for a little bit. They ended up promoting Kobe Altman, who did, I think, as good of a job as he could have done given the circumstances.
Yes.
That he's not in a position to do what Greg Popovich did with LaMarcus Aldridge, which is, I'm not trading you. Get me Kevin Durant or I'm not trading you. Kyrie says, I want to be traded. He feels like, what am I going to do here? Shops him around. It seemed like he got a pretty good deal. Jay Crowder, oh, he can defend Kevin Durant. Isaiah Thomas, he was almost as good as Kyrie last year. And we get the Nets pick. Little did he know Jay Crowder's play was going to fall off a cliff.
Terrible.
Isaiah Thomas's hip injury was worse than anyone thought, which is why they, after the physical, they tried to go get more from it. And to add a little insult to injury, the Nets are playing better than people thought.
They've won 18 games.
Right. the Nets could have the 3rd or 4th pick, but they also could have the 9th or 10th pick. So that asset's not quite as good. So all those things have led to where we are right now. So I don't want to blame Isaiah Thomas individually because he's actually, of all the guys playing poorly on the Cavs, he's the one that has rationale for it. Not an excuse, but an explanation.
Yes.
He's coming off a major injury. JR, I know JR hurt his elbow last year. There is no excuse for how poorly he's played this year. There is no excuse for how poorly Tristan Thompson's played, how poorly Jay Crowder's played. And I know, CC, you think I won't do this, but there's also...
I don't think you'll do it.
Give it a second.
I even know what you're going to do.
There's also not much of an excuse for how lethargic LeBron has been post-Christmas. This month of January is not going on his Hall of Fame reel. And that's when the season has really gone to hell for them.
No, they haven't shot the ball well. All right?
That's an understatement.
I mean, LeBron, they haven't shot the ball well the last month. But they were shooting the ball well before. They did have chemistry. Also, LeBron and IT, they weren't in training camp. So now you have 8 new guys on the team. LeBron misses all of camp. Some kind of way, they get it together at the beginning of the season, which was almost like a little mini miracle for them to go on that run, that 19 out of 21 that they went on. That was more like fool's gold. Now the NBA started to find them out. Teams start to understand their sets. Now IT comes back. Kevin Love, his game shrinks. LeBron is not playing well, not shooting as well, not shooting free throws as well. Now, that's no one's fault. You're standing on the free throw line. Everyone's not moving. Ain't nobody saying nothing. So LeBron, his inability to get the ball to go in the hole now, that is also affecting the rest of the team. He is that good of a player. He's not playing at a uber level. So it's a trickle-down effect defensively. They're never going to be a good defensive team. Now they might have
to be the worst.
They might play a quarter, half a quarter, 6-8 minutes, but they're not going to be a great perimeter defending team. They're not going to be able to stop people at the rim. They don't have a shot blocker. So these are things that it's easy to be like, oh, it's IT's fault. Oh, but this has been going on for a long time, and it started with David Griffin not being extended, which led to Kyrie Irving communicating he wanted out of Cleveland.
And I just want to say one thing in defense of Isaiah Thomas, which is we do have to recognize these guys, in addition to being athletes and celebrities, are human beings. And what Isaiah Thomas has gone through in the last 9 months would be difficult for anyone to deal with. He's the last pick of the draft. He bounces around the league, going from Sacramento to Phoenix briefly, then to Boston. Thinks he has a home in Boston. Leads them to the #1 seed. Makes an All-NBA team. Breaks his face in the playoffs. Hurts his hip in the playoffs and plays through it. Has a 50-point playoff game. His sister, tragically and suddenly, dies in a car accident. He's then traded. The hip injury doesn't heal as quickly as possible. Oh, yeah, by the way, he's been in the league 7 years. He's made a total, I know it's a lot of money for regular people, but NBA-wise, not a ton of money. He's made less than $30 million in his career. It's a contract year for him. And he's new city. He's no longer running the show. In fact, the most prominent player in the whole league's running the show. He's not fully healthy. Like, there are real reasons for him to be slow on the uptake, for instance. So I just think I'm not out on Isaiah Thomas yet. And I think there's reason to believe that he can get back to close to where he was last year.
This team is shooting under 32% from three since Christmas. They're not playing defense at all. No one seems to be getting along with each other. And there's no real solution, but just a lot of finger-pointing. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do on this February trade deadline and then what they do in the weeks to follow.
Yeah, but Nick's not concerned. No,
he's all right.
Nah, and you won't be either when the regular season ends. I promise.
Back to the NFL. Ben Roethlisberger, once again, is talking about his coaches, but this time he's defending Mike Tomlin. Ben said that the Steelers were focused and ready to go before their loss to the Jaguars, but they just weren't the best on that day. Cece, what's your reaction to Roethlisberger's comments here?
That they were focused, I doubt that. I mean, based on the players and what they were doing, the tweeting and texting, and how Mike Tomlin told Tony Dungy in November that they were focused on New England. Which trickled into the players. So they might have had some focus, but it wasn't a fine focus where you have everything on how do I beat this team. And I think that they took Jacksonville as a young team, and they didn't give them the type of respect. And in the NFL, when you do that, you end up losing. So I'm not surprised Ben is saying something now to try to fix the situation. I mean, they are the dysfunctional family in the National Football League. So how do I believe him? Ben is about Ben, to me. So Ben is about making comments to make himself look good, all right? That's the reason why he said the quarterback sneak stuff. And this is not new stuff with Ben Roethlisberger.
Well, so Ben has become a much bigger fan of the Steelers coaching staff ever since Todd Haley was no longer a member of the Steelers coaching staff. I don't think Ben's issue was ever with Mike Tomlin. We have no reason to believe that Ben has a serious rift with Mike Tomlin. We had a lot
But he did mention before the lack of discipline on the team, which had nothing to do with Todd Haley and was a shot at Mike Tomlin. So Ben has said, Ben is the only one prominent player that said something about Mike Tomlin derogatory.
Agreed, but I think that's more about, as you were saying, Ben likes to talk, and it's hard to put two of his comments together as far as, maybe I'm washed up. What are you guys talking about? I never really thought I was going to retire. This could be my last year. He said that at the end of last season. And then he said, I don't even know if I want to come back. Now he wants to play 3 more years. The comment's been made, to be honest, right after the national anthem stuff. That amplified that controversy when it was a united front except for Alejandro Villanueva. And then Ben was like, no, I didn't want to do it too. Ben likes to be a part of the discussion. What I like about this comment is it at least starts the path to taking some ownership that a lot of the distractions have been, I'm sure Mike Tomlin allows some of them. And they do, as Coach Mancini would say, run a different family. But a lot of the distractions are a product of things Ben Roethlisberger said he didn't need to. I wanted to spike the ball against the Patriots. We're not allowed to do a quarterback sneak. Like, those are self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah, but those aren't distractions because your season's over with. If that had been during the season, it would be a distraction.
Well, the spike the ball was during the season, CC. When he said against the Patriots, remember, I wanted to spike the ball at the end.
You're right about that. The comments after the last game as far as the quarterback sneak.
Fair enough. That's because you're in the off season, so there's nothing you can do in that spot. I got you there. But but Ben's a guy, you would agree, that more than typical franchise quarterbacks has things swirling around him of his own doing.
But what about everything else? The Antonio Brown stuff, the contract stuff, Le'Veon Bell holding out from practice. I mean, there's a lot that wasn't Ben Roethlisberger. And who's that fall
When they drafted Juju Schuster, one of the other players saying, hey, he's here to take your spot.
Yeah.
Like, what about all that stuff?
There was a lot that happened on this.
And Mike Tomlin has to own some of that. The Le'Veon Bell stuff, the team management, like, Le'Veon Bell stuff was a contract dispute with management. Like, I'm sure Mike Tomlin would love to give all the players all the money.
Yeah, but him tweeting about it the night before the Jacksonville game?
That was a problem.
Yeah, but that's, Cece, when we were talking about the Cavs, you're talking about it's the player's responsibility to execute. At some point, it's the grown men player's responsibility to be mature. Like, I understand it trickles down from the coach, and Tomlin could do a better job with that. But Antonio Brown Facebook Living's on Antonio Brown.
Is DeMonte grown?
What?
Is DeMonte grown?
I mean, he thinks he is.
Who sets the rules in your house?
I do.
There you go.
And Danielle.
Okay.
I'll let your boy.
Okay.
That's it for us. We're back here tomorrow morning at 6:30 Eastern.
Oh, they're here?
Stay right here. Undisputed starts right now.
No mercy, no mercy, no mercy. Let's go face to face. I embrace debate. I don't make mistakes. I just make my case. Drop spike when I'm done. One more can I say? Not bite to my tongue. I don't like the taste. I'm on and I'm on and I own my opponent. I'm always in the zone. Need a zone out of zone. And then we could get it poppin'. Pick the topic if you want to skip and shine and skip the hopping. Took these sports and made it pop. Alright. Undisputed.
Welcome to Undisputed. We're live from